When it comes to software, we're often sold this one-size-fits-all dream. But what if the best tools weren't built for everyone, but for someone very specific? Today, we're going to dig into Operio, a company that totally flipped the script by starting not with a market, but with a friend's real-world problem. Let's get into it. So let's start with a question that I'm guessing hits pretty close to home for a lot of you. Think about it for a sec. How much of your day is spent just fighting with your software? Navigating bloated menus, figuring out weird workarounds. It really feels like we're serving the tools and not the other way around. And that exact frustration, that is the problem Operio set out to solve. We're talking about the huge downside of generic software, those giant platforms that promise to do everything for everyone, but end up delivering a clunky, compromised experience for, well, pretty much everybody. So, where did this whole thing begin? Well, not in some fancy boardroom, but with a simple conversation. A friend of the founders who owned a spa was just drowning in operational headaches. Her software was a total mess. It was clunky, way too complicated, and just completely out of sync with how her business actually ran day to day. And then, believe it or not, lightning struck twice. Another friend, this time a life insurance broker, came to them with almost the exact same complaint. A completely different industry, but the core problem was identical. The very tools that were supposed to be helping were actually just holding them back. And this is when the founders kind of had their big aha moment. They realized these weren't just isolated complaints from their friends. No, this was a pattern. Across totally different fields, small and medium-sized businesses were all fighting the same uphill battle. They were stuck with outdated tools, forced onto generic platforms, and using software that just did not get how they actually worked. And right there, that's the origin story of Operio. See, it wasn't born from some intense market research or a slick business plan. It grew organically, starting from a simple desire to help a friend, which then accidentally uncovered this massive unmet need. This quote right here, it really says it all. It points to this authentic core that you just don't see very often. Instead of chasing venture capital money, they were chasing a real solution for a real person's problem. And that user-first mindset, it became the absolute bedrock of the entire company. So you might be wondering, how did they jump from just helping a couple of friends to actually building a company? Well, the process was surprisingly straightforward. First, they identified those super specific on-the-ground challenges. From there, they started digging a little deeper, and what they found was that this wasn't a niche problem at all. It was a huge, widespread issue affecting businesses all over the place. And here's the crucial part. The people who stumbled upon this problem had the perfect skill set to fix it. We're talking about senior engineers who had spent their entire careers building enormous, complex systems for big corporations. So they had the serious technical chops, but now they had a new mission. Take all that expertise and build something refreshingly simple and practical. Which brings us right to the solution, Operio. This is what they built, a company completely focused on creating lightweight, super specific tools, basically the antidote to all those frustrations we were just talking about. Okay, so what is Operio exactly? On the surface, yeah, it's a suite of software, but the real magic isn't in the what, it's in the how. Every single tool is built by reverse engineering the actual day-to-day workflow of the person who's going to be using it. For example, let's look at their first product, Operio Spa. This is the direct result of that very first conversation with the spa owner. It's a management system that's simple, it's practical, and it's built from the ground up to mirror the unique rhythm and flow of a real working spa. It focuses only on what a spa owner actually needs. You've got seamless scheduling, easy staff and room management, and clean client records. Their entire philosophy is basically addition by subtraction. Give them everything they need and absolutely nothing they don't. The goal here is zero bloat, zero clutter, period. And then they took that exact same playbook and used it to create Operio Insure. This is their CRM, their customer relationship management tool, and it was designed hand in hand with life insurance brokers, born directly from that second friend's cry for help. It is laser focused on a broker's reality, right? Managing client profiles, tracking complicated policies, and automating those all-important renewals and reminders. Again, it's not about trying to do everything, it's about doing the right things perfectly for that specific job. This way of building things isn't just some development strategy for them, it's the core of their entire business. They run on what's called a product-led philosophy. In simple terms, that just means the product itself is the main engine for growth. No pushy sales teams, just a tool that's so good it basically sells itself. And this comparison really shows the night and day difference in their approach. Your typical sales-led company, they're all about chasing market trends so they can build a longer feature list than their competitor. It's all about winning the sales demo. But Operio, they are obsessed with solving real pain points for real users. The goal isn't to have the most features, it's to have the right features that just melt into a user's actual workflow. And really, this whole philosophy just boils down to these 4 words. Every feature, every button, every design choice is filtered through this lens. Is it thoughtful? Is it simple? Is it practical? And most importantly, does it make the user more efficient? If the answer isn't a heck yes to all 4, it just doesn't make the cut. So let's kind of wrap this all up. What's the big takeaway here? What really truly sets Operio apart? Well, it all comes down to this. They build for a purpose, not just for a market. They design for a specific person, not some generic customer profile. I mean, this chart just lays it all out perfectly, doesn't it? The old way, generic software is built for the masses, which always leads to bloat and complexity, and it forces you to change how you work. The Operio way starts with real people, and that leads to lean, intuitive tools that adapt to you. The goal is so simple, to help you work better. And this timeline just gives you the whole story in a nutshell. It kicks off with that deep enterprise experience, then pivots in 2024 to solve problems for friends, which leads to the official founding in 2025, and that brings us to today, where they are just laser-focused on delivering these practical, purpose-built tools. So we'll leave you with this one last question to really think about. Take a good look at the software you use every single day. Was it designed with your specific industry, your unique workflow in mind? Or was it just built to be good enough for everybody? The answer to that question might just change how you feel about the tools you use to get your work done.